What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It's good to see you again. This is the first episode of a series that I'm going to try to put together where I'm going to go to a park and I'm going to shoot an entire roll of film with my Yashica camera. That's 12 frames, it's 6x6, they're all going to be square format. And one of the things that I'm going to do is, rather than just show you the best pictures or whatever, I'm going to show all 12. Whether they came out, whether I overexposed them, or whatever happened, I'm going to show all 12. This is the first one of these I'm releasing, but I've done 3 so far, and every one of them has had some frame turn out not perfect, whether it was from overexposing or a bad composition or a development error. And we're going to see all those and work through the whole process so that you can see that not everything turns out perfect, whether you're shooting digital or film or anything else. Not every photo turns out perfect. Not everything you see from a photographer is perfect. But with that, let's get to the first image of this series. Shoot a roll in Theodore Roosevelt National Park. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Yet another video from Theodore Roosevelt National Park using this, the Yashica. I've taken 5 pictures of the horses, and that's the start. Well, now the sun's at my back and you can't see my face. Yeah, I think I'm going to shoot this roll out here today, and then I'll develop it tomorrow. I brought all my box and everything, so that should work. And then, yeah. We'll see how it goes. Got to find 7 more pictures for this one. 7. Well, this first image is just fantastic, isn't it? It's just all black. Yeah, first image I took, messed it up. I messed up in the development. Took a fine image. It's the same as image 2, which we'll get to in a second. I'm looking at these on my phone. It's the same as image 2. It was an image of horses out on the plains. If you watched my previous video where I shot some images with my speed graphic, it's the same thing. It's the same set of images. It's where the horses are out on the plain. It's a really nice set of images. This one, I messed up with development. When I put the roll into the tank, I use a lab box, and I know some people are going to give me some grief for that. I've been meaning to do a review of the lab box for quite some time, but I use a lab box. And the way that HP5 spools into my camera, it leaves enough of the film out that half of the first image gets ruined. And so I just put it up straight black. There's no need to post that because it's ruined. So you get to hear me talk about a black frame because I ruined my development. On to frame number 2 now. Yeah. You can see it here. We've got the horses in the screen, and they're just out on the plain. I like this one. I wish I could have had something better in the sky, but it was completely clear all day, the day I was out in Theodore Roosevelt National Park. And so all I had was just the plain sky, horses in the mid-ground. You can see the grass in the middle, and then just the blank sky. And so that's what we've got for frame number 2. For frame number 3, I changed it up a little bit. I got some horses in motion as they're going around, but mostly the same thing. These first 5 images, they're all from Theodore Roosevelt National Park, and these horses, as I noted in the intro video for it. And this one, I like this one because it shows some movement, some horses moving around from place to place. And you know, these are horses that live there. They move around. They're not stationary. And so this one shows 2 sets of horses moving around from place to place. Frame 4. Yes, I tried to do a little something here. I wanted to put the camera down low to get some grass strong in the foreground, and then blur it out and you could see the horses behind it. What I didn't take into account was that the focusing lens, because I have a twin lens camera, the focusing lens is about 2.5 inches higher than the lens that actually takes the pictures. So I had it all composed nice for the focusing lens, not taking into account that the actual picture lens was going to be buried in the grass. And so that's what we have here. All you see is grass. There's a little bit of sky in the background, but that's it. And so, you know, I wish I would have thought of that. Chalk that up to a learning process. It has been a while since I've used this camera extensively, and so I'm going with it now, trying to get it to work. And that's actually part of why the first frame messed up, because I would have remembered that that was the case had this not been the first roll I've shot in this camera in about close to a year. Image 5, and this is the last one with the horses. We see the horses. It's the same thing. They're right in the foreground, although I did put more grass in it to sort of offset just sort of the boring sky in the background. But again, it's horses. I like how they are. This one shows more horses. It gives like a scale for maybe how many there were. There were probably 50 horses out there on this particular day. Didn't get too close to them because, you know, I don't want to be attacked by a wild horse. Most wild animals don't like it when you get close to their homes and to their children, much like humans. And so I didn't get close to their home, their food, or their children. So I'm up here on the summit of Buck Hill now. I took some shots with the Yashica looking over the valley that way, and there's some folks on a hill over there. I took that. I'm shooting black and white HP5. I forgot, I should know these things. I don't know if I said that. Anyway, yeah, as you can tell, it's windy. I'm going to finish this little trail here, and then I'm going to walk back down to the car, and don't know what I'm going to do. I got 4 more frames on this one. See what I can do. For frame number 6, this is the top of Buck Hill. It's not the tallest mountain or tallest point in Theodore Roosevelt National Park. It's the second tallest. And I tried to have this one propped on top of a rock. Again, I kind of messed it up because I forgot about the twin lens focusing. And so I got some of the rock in the very bottom of the image. You can see it, but it looks out over the Badlands. One thing I see the more I look at these images is really how boring the sky is. There was nothing there. It was completely clear. I actually got a bit of a sunburn that day. As you can see in some of these videos, I start wearing the hat and all that. It was very bright, very hot, very sunny, not many clouds. The clouds that I'm looking at right behind the camera here would actually be really nice to have had in the background of these images, but you know, I didn't get that, so I'm left with what I had. This is looking out over this Badland area from the top of Buck Hill. For frame number 7, we're still on the top of Buck Hill. This time I intentionally put the rock in the foreground, and one of the things that I don't think I noticed when I took it is you can look at it and you can see carvings in the rocks where people who have been up to the top of this mountain have carved in the rocks. And that's something I tried to do in the second episode, a little teaser here. We were in Yellowstone, and obviously Yellowstone is much more used, it's much more busy than Theodore Roosevelt, so you get more interactions with people. And one of the things I tried to do at Yellowstone, more so than I did here, was not just show the landscape, because we've all seen the landscape, but the fact that as you're looking at this landscape, there's always humans or human interactions in these landscapes. And that's one thing that this image has. It has the rock carvings in it. I'm sure somebody has noticed as you're watching through this, yes, the horizon is crooked. I wish I would have noticed that when I composed the image. Obviously I would have changed that, but yes, the horizon's crooked, and if that's really annoying you, well, I apologize. For image 8, this one didn't turn out quite as nice as I wanted. I wanted the 2 people that are in the frame on top of the hill to be a little more, prominent, a little more visible. I needed a longer camera lens, basically. The way I was seeing it in my eye, they were a little better, and it looked a little better. But here, because they're so small, I'm using a 50mm equivalent lens. It's an 80mm on a 6x6. That's a 50mm equivalent, or roughly 50. You know, they just didn't turn out as neat in the frame as I would have wanted. Same thing with the tree that they were on. It just didn't turn out quite what I wanted, but I do like it because even though I say I wish they were bigger, I think knowing that they're there and that they're this small, it shows the scale of how small people are in this landscape. Because this is a huge park, there's very little trees. Almost everywhere you go, you have expansive views in every direction, unless you happen to be between two mountains. But everywhere in the park has these just expansive views where you're seeing for miles and miles. And I really liked that about the park. Coming from the East Coast, as you can see behind me, it's just nothing but trees. That's the whole East Coast, it's just all trees. And so being able to go somewhere like that and see these expansive views and the expansive hills, that's really neat for somebody like me coming from the East Coast. And I think this, even though it didn't turn out quite how I envisioned in my mind, I like how it turned out because it shows how insignificant people are in these landscapes. Remembering why I hate this hat. The wind keeps blowing down in my face. Anyway, you turn here, see if I can do this without the bill messing me up. There's some cactus here, and I got the cactus in focus, foreground, and then looking off at the distance that you can see there behind me. So, you know, I think that'll be pretty decent. It'll be something to look at. There's a tree right there that I'm going to try to go to right now, and I'm going to try to get like the tree in focus pretty heavy in the foreground, and then this like badland area or whatever you want to call it out here in the background. So anyway, let's go over there and do that, and then I'm tired. For image 9 here, I tried to focus on the cacti here in the foreground and then just have it bleed out in the background. I wish it would have showed a little more of the rugged nature of the hills. Instead, it's just a lot of the grass behind the cactus, and then you get to some of the hills that are in the far background. But I do like this because it shows the small scale, that even though the park is huge and it's got all this stuff going on, when you look down at the ground, there's all kinds of stuff on the ground. And in this case, stuff you need to watch out for as you're walking around. Not just because you don't want to damage the cactus, but really because you don't want to damage yourself. You don't want to end up with one of these cacti stuck in your calf or something like that. But this one, I tried to focus on the cactus and show the background going out behind it. I think I did a pretty okay job of it, if not stellar. I might have tried to take another image in a different place had I, envisioned this one correctly. Well, so I really didn't want to do this, but I came out here apparently unprepared, and my battery went dead in my camera, and I don't have a spare battery, so that's a major bummer. So now I'm here recording on my phone for image number 10. Image number 10, you can see there's the tree in the foreground. I wanted to focus on the tree. That was my whole purpose of this one, was to focus on the tree and then have the badland area expanding out into the background. And, I think I did a pretty good job as far as that goes, getting that to happen. This was actually kind of a difficult one to compose because the sun was directly at my back. So I had to find a place that I could be where I could get the tree in the frame how I wanted, but not get my own shadow into it. And I think I actually did a pretty good job not getting the tree's shadow extensively into it as well, even though it is there. But this is definitely my favorite image from the trip to Theodore Roosevelt. All right. Yeah. Last set of photos of the day with this one. I just have 2 left, and I'm gonna see what's out. I know there's a herd of bison down in the valley here, and a pretty stunning, epic view down here. So I'm gonna get that, and then I'll have to figure out what I want the final frame to be. But yeah, I'll figure out what the total frame is and come back for the video. For image 11 here, this is another one where I was really trying to show the scale of the park and the things that are in the park. If you look closely, if you're watching this on your television rather than on your phone, this is actually pretty easy to do. But get really close and you can see little black specks in the middle of the image. And those specks are bison. They're out there in the middle of this huge area. I was probably every bit of a mile from them as I was taking this, but the land behind them you can see for 2 or 3 more miles. It's just these massively expansive vistas. And so that's what I tried to do here. I intentionally tried to do this one rather than with the people, where I didn't try to intentionally do it quite like this, but I intentionally tried to make the bison, I'm trying to correct myself for saying that. They're not buffalo, they're bison. The bison, they're so small in relation to this land where they live that it's just incredible, because these bison are huge animals. You can see some close-up pictures of them. They're just massive, massive animals. But when you see them in a landscape like this, they're really pretty small, and it's amazing how insignificant a creature that big can be in nature like this. Well, this is the final frame of the 12 on the Yashica. I gotta hurry because I'm trying to get those buffaloes over there, and apparently they've started walking away, but I'm gonna use some of this little brush down here in the distance, and I'm gonna get a decent focus and get a picture. I like how they're just sort of right up against the skyline over there. So with that, that's it, and let's head to the dark room and do some developing. Image number 12. This is the one image that I took on my second day in the park. I was just on the way out. I saw this scene with the bison up against the hill. I intentionally tried to frame them to where it was like an infinity scene, if you will. You can't see what's on the other side of the hill, and that's how I tried to frame it, with the bison right on top of the hill. And you know, I like how it turned out as far as that goes. And then you can see the sagebrush in the foreground. So I try to have a foreground and an infinity view going over the hill, and that's that.
And on that terrible disappointment, we come to an end of one of the most disjointed videos you've ever seen. I thank you for watching. Next week, we'll be in Yellowstone National Park. Shoot a roll in Yellowstone National Park. Thank you for watching. See you again next time.